Batwoman number 21, written by J.H. Williams III and W. Hayden Blackman, art by Francesco Francavilla. So this is an interlude issue. It is following Killer Croc and what happened to him after he turned into a literal Hydra at the end of the last arc. So we open up with Croc being basically, they beat Medusa, they took care of the Mother of Monsters and all that, and Croc was essentially de-transformed. And we see as he was coming down, I guess you would say, he was hearing the voice of Medusa in his head calling him, saying, Waylon, Waylon. And then slowly that faded away, and all he heard was just like the screaming and the emptiness of Gotham and all the mayhem that he caused. And he was so out of it. He was completely broken. And by the way, all this is told in first-person narration, like he's describing his own feelings. So take that for what you will. But he was so broken that he was just like, I was kind of proud for a moment that, this is it. I took down Gotham, more or less. But, I just hurt a lot. So I'm just going to lay here, and if they want to lock me away, so be it, because I literally cannot move. So at that point, he passes out, and he's picked up by a group of people, and he is taken somewhere. It's never specifically said where, but we see that these people are not normal, average people. And then we see all of this was being described to a lizard woman. Her name is Claire, and she, I guess I'll just jump to the reveal. He was brought in by a group of werebeasts that apparently have been featured in Batwoman for a while now, because their leader was the werewolf guy who, sacrificed himself during the fight. So they picked up Killer Croc, and he fell for a woman named Claire, who also has, lizardy bits, and they are in love. It's not like a joke or anything like that. It's not her trying to get him to do something. They're in love. So he's like, oh man, I've never been with such a pretty woman before. And yeah, she's got lizard stuff, but that's actually what does it for me. So we see him walking down the hallways of this place. It's a huge underground chapel, more or less, I guess. It's like a cult of werebeasts. And he comes across a librarian guy named Jared. And he's like, oh, hey, Waylon, still can't sleep? I think something might be up with your mind. And he's like, nope, definitely not all crazy because of the Hydra stuff. Not at all. I'm all good. Anyway, what's going on? Tell me more about this werebeast stuff. And Jared explains, mostly for the sake of the audience, that every human being came from some bloodline that way back was an animal or whatever. Some people still have little traits like that. He specifically says something like feral eyes or an acute sense of smell. And then Croc says kind of like Cobblepot. So I guess Penguin is really actually part bird, according to this. But then other people are even further deep into their animal connections, and they're able to transform into their animal lineage. And this guy transforms into an eagle. And Waylon points out I'm not a shapeshifter. I can't transform. I'm just kind of stuck as scaly and big. And he's like, but have you not been transforming from the young scared boy into Killer Croc into the Hydra? You've undergone all these transformations. And Croc's like, that's not what I meant. You know it. So at that point, the rest of the cult comes in and they say, hey, here's the thing. You are the great beast of Babylon. You are our Messiah. We want you to lead our little group as king. And they hand him this ceremonial sword. And he's like, cool. What's the catch? And they say, the catch is Batwoman murdered our previous leader, Kyle Abbott, werewolf guy. You got to kill Batwoman. And he's like, okay. So at that point, apparently one of the guys says that Maggie Sawyer smells a lot like Batwoman because, they spend so much time together. But he doesn't know that, so he's like, I'm just going to go stake her out until I see her either A, transform into Batwoman, or B, show Batwoman, or see Batwoman show up. So he sits around for a while. Maggie's just overlooking Gotham at her car. Batwoman comes riding up on a motorcycle, and then she goes and gives Maggie a kiss. And Croc's like, all right, didn't see that one coming, but no time like the present. So he jumps out of the bushes and he's like, I thought my thought process here was I would jump after Batwoman and she'd be so busy defending Maggie that it would be easy to like get one on her. However, Maggie then unloaded an entire pistol into Croc, so she's clearly able to fight for herself, and Croc has to be like, psh, I don't feel a thing. Meanwhile, his narration's like, ow, that hurts so much. So at that point, Batwoman gets the wind knocked out of her. Croc is like, I was supposed to take you back to the church to kill you, but I might just bleed you out here. And then Maggie reaches into the cop car that she's on, pulls out a shotgun and says, Waylon Jones, you're under arrest. Boom. And as she gets a shot to the neck, Batwoman gets away. She's able to catch her breath. We see the blood coming out is taking the form of the Hydra again. So, like, he's kind of not okay and trying to transform back into the Hydra. And then he says, I hear it again, a woman's voice saying my name. And he thinks it's one of these women, but they're just like, duh, we're not, why would we be saying Waylon? Like, no, that's not us. You're losing your mind. And he realizes, oh, wait, no, that wasn't a woman's voice. It was me. It was my own voice from when I was 10 years old before I killed anybody. So anyway, at that point, just to get through the rest of this, Batwoman says, all right, you're clearly crazy. I'm going to send you back to Arkham with a broken back if you keep on coming at me. Otherwise, I'll just take you back as is. And then Firebird or Flamebird comes in and says like, oh, and he'll have third-degree burns. So Waylon's like, all right, I could fight all three of these, but I would immediately be making an enemy of myself with these people, and therefore the cult of the Werebeast would not be safe. Therefore, I'm out. So he immediately runs out into the swamp and back to his Werebeast friends. And we get a little flashback here of when he was chased through the swamp by like some bully from high school who then proceeds to like say that he's going to skin him and see how deep his crocodile skin goes, to which Waylon turns around and just kills him by like chewing through his neck. So at that point, the cult shows up and says, like, did you do it? Did you kill Batwoman? And they're like, no, I didn't. It didn't work out, and we're not going to do it again. And the Werebeast guy is like, but you had to in order to be our king. This is very important. You needed to. And then Croc just sticks the sword in the guy saying, like, you're going to get us all killed, man. Look, if I'm going to be king, rule number one, we got to get the hell out of Gotham. It is not safe here. There are too many superheroes. We got to go. And he takes Claire, and Claire's like, all right, yeah, fair enough. I know a place. It's where I grew up. And the last panel, it seems like Claire is pregnant. Because Waylon is rubbing her lower stomach and, like, yeah. Anyway, it was a fine issue. I mean, obviously, it's its own little intermission. It's not something that's going to be connected to the plot as a whole. It's just a thing of, all right, where's Croc going? What's he doing? How's that working out? It's fine in that regard. I would say that the art is good. I enjoy it, but it's so very different from what we've been getting. It was kind of a shock to the senses. So it stood out a lot when I was reading it in trade. Overall, it's like a 7. It's good. That's the thing, is it's not a great book. It's not blowing me away, but it didn't do anything wrong, and it was a decent enough read. I'm glad that we got into the mind of Croc. So yeah, 7 seems fair to me.